Hey guys, we're back. This time we're going to be taking a look at Villainous Despicable Plots. This is the third expansion to the Villainous Disney game, and this one includes Lady Tremaine, which is Cinderella's stepmother, Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, and the Horned King from the Black Cauldron. So, interesting characters. And this is actually the Target exclusive version, which has this sleeve on it, which is on super tight. And you can see I've deformed mine a little. I did manage to get it off once, so hopefully I can get it off again without destroying it. But they wrapped it on really tight. And yeah, it's a pain to get off. So we're going to try to get it off there without destroying it and show you what's inside. So we did manage to get it off again, but it is super tight. If they had left just a little bit more slack in this. I think the problem is that Ravensburger doesn't shrink wrap the games. They use these little stickers along the straight sides to hold the boxes shut. So there's nothing to hold these on, so they made them as tight as they could to get them to stay. And it makes removing them a pain. But the only thing on the Target exclusive edition is this sleeve, which shows a little bit of alternate artwork on the back. In the base version of the game, Gaston's piece is like that. In the Target version of the game, Gaston's piece has a bronzed color to it. And that's the only difference in those, so if you can't find the special edition one, don't worry about it. You're not missing out on much. Inside the box, first thing we have here is the instructions, and this has been the same in all of the expansion packs. These can be used, I keep calling it an expansion, but these can be used as a standalone game as well as to add 3 characters to any of your other Villainous games, so you can combine them all. But as with the other smaller boxes, it comes with a full rule book. That's scaled down to fit in the box, but explains all the basics of how to play. It has a big FAQ in the back, and they have a little learn to play video on here, which I highly suggest if you have not played the game before. It's much easier to learn from watching a video. Then in here, I've kind of messed everything up, but underneath these, we'll go to this stuff first. We have a little package, and there's some cool stuff in here. First off, we have our Black Cauldron token, and this flips over to be the power of the Black Cauldron. It's kind of a creepy character, but I like it. Then we have our new cards here. Have all of the different icons of the different actions you can take on one side. And on the back side have the new win conditions for the new characters. Gaston has 8 obstacles that he has to remove by his realm, from his realm by doing various things. Lady Tremaine needs to marry off either one of her ball gown daughters to the prince by having them in the ballroom. And the Horned King needs to have the cauldron born in each location on the realm. You get those by using the cauldron to transform the ancient soldiers. So, cool new objectives for the various new characters. Each one of our new characters, of course, comes with their respective guides that tell you how to play those specific characters. In this case, Lady Tremaine shows you how to get the ball unlocked, and about the ball gown Cinderella, as well as the ball gown daughters, and then her trapped mechanic where you can lock people, as well as her glass slipper detrimental thing. Then we have Gaston. And he has the special setup of putting the obstacle tokens on the various spots on his board. And then they tell you how to remove them. He's a pretty straightforward character. Then we have the Horned King, and I love the artwork. It's been a long time since I've seen the Black Cauldron. And he's got a special setup of his own involving the Black Cauldron, how to claim it, how to power it, and then finally how to convert your guys into the Cauldron-born. Next we have our player boards. We have Gaston, and he has Belle's house, the tavern, the woods, and Beast Castle. And you can see these little icons on here are where those tokens go that he needs to remove in order to win. Gaston's mover piece. As I said, the Target version has this bronzed, which I kind of like. Some people have complained about it because all the other movers in the entire game have that transparent look to them. And this one's a solid bronze, but I kind of like it. But if you don't get the Target version, this will be, I think, orange. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure exactly what color it is, but it'll be the same transparent plastic as everybody else's. Next we have the Horned King. And he has Morba, the Fairy Folk Kingdom, the Dungeons, and the Throne Room. He also has probably one of the cooler movers in the game. It's hard to see. But it's the cauldron down here with these hands coming up out of it holding his skull and helmet. It's very cool. And I have to complain, as I mentioned on the other ones, the pieces sometimes, whatever molding process they use, and the camera just doesn't catch it too well, but they have these little cracked lines that run through them, almost like they're mismolded. And all the pieces in the entire game have them. And unfortunately, the entire front of my cauldron is so malformed. It looks like it's like shattered almost. I'm going to try to get another one of those. Maybe it's just me complaining, but I like the stuff, especially one so cool, to look awesome, and this looks like hell considering it just came out of the box. And finally we have Lady Tremaine. And she has Cinderella's room, the music room, the castle, and the ballroom. The ballroom starts locked. Like, it's another one of those that has 3 on the bottom, nothing on the top. Seen that before. That way you're not penalized for putting the prince in the ballroom like he's supposed to be. And then we have her mover, and I gotta say, I am not a fan of this piece. I don't know how to say it with class, not being too out there about it, but it's obviously meant to be her hair, but you can take from it what you will. I'm not sure who thought this was a good idea for a piece, but there's definitely going to be jokes about it. Let me get on to our decks, and I don't know if this will come out on camera. If I can get it. You can kind of see right there. My decks came this way. There's scratches in the cards right out of the package. I haven't even messed around with these too much yet, and it's already beat up. That's why I sleeve everything. But there you have Gaston's artwork. And the Spate deck. Spate deck has Belle, who once she's in play, you can't remove any obstacles, so you got to take her out of the equation before you can do any of his objectives. Lots of characters from the show. Lots of things to replace the obstacles that he needs to overcome. For his actual deck, we have some interesting things in here. Oddly enough, marrying Belle is not his objective. Or even killing the beast, though I think there is a card in here pertaining to killing the beast. Cards that allow you to use a vanquish action from anywhere are nice. Remove 3 obstacles. So, a lot of direct attacks in his to remove anything that's in his way. We have the Horned King's artwork. Really love that card. And the Fate cards. Henrin. Just cards that force him into play too. And then the actual deck here, you got creepers. I can't remember how to pronounce that. Gwynthines, I think. It's been a while. The Horn King Henchman. Guard Dog. There's the Cauldron Borns. These can only be played when specific conditions are met. They have no cost, which is nice. Once you get to that point, the Ancient Soldiers. The idea is to get the Ancient Soldiers on each of the locations and then use the Cauldron to convert them into the Cauldron Born. A lot of interesting cards in there. Interesting character to play. And finally we have Lady Tremaine. And her fate deck, of course, has Cinderella, the Fairy Godmother, the Prince, the Mice, the Ball Gown Cinderella, glass slippers. There's 2 of them, which are very annoying. And Bruno, of course. And her deck has the 2 stepsisters. These stepsisters in their ball gowns. Lucifer, I almost forgot about him. I think the invitation is what unlocks the ballroom. And there's the You Little Thief is how you get rid of Cinderella. And I think the cane is the only thing in there that can get rid of the slippers that I saw so far. I haven't really gone in depth too much with her, but looks that way. And then finally you have their bag of tokens. You have your fate token in case you're playing with a higher player count, so you can't gang up on one player. You gotta pass it. It's attacked each turn. You have a lock token for the ballroom. You have all the power tokens. As I mentioned in the previous video, that the ones in these mini boxes are slightly thinner than the ones in the base game, almost half the thickness, which allows you to store more of them in a smaller space if you're interested in that. If you have all the expansions, you really don't need all of them anyway. You got more than enough. We have Lady Tremaine's trapped tokens. They're locked doors, doorknobs. And finally we have Gaston's objective tokens. They're little beast heads. They're kind of small, but it doesn't matter too much. But they could be a little fiddly for some people with bigger fingers. They're also really thin, so they're hard to pick up. To look at everything that comes in the Disney Villainous Despicable Plots expansion, or standalone game, whatever you want to call it. It is its own box set. You can pick this up if you're new to Villainous and play just these 3 characters. You can mix and match and combine it with any of the other Disney Villainous box sets to add more characters to your games. Always fun to have new characters to combine with the old characters. Variety and keep your games fresh and new. About time Gaston got put in there. He's one of the bigger villains, I think, of the movies. Some more obscure things like the Black Cauldron getting some love too. And he's probably one of my favorite characters currently, so very happy to have him. How well balanced these are versus the existing characters. It's something that'll be interesting to see over time, though some of their mechanics are a little more complicated and drawn out, but then again so are some of the earlier characters too, so it's just a matter of playing them to see how well they work. Tremain seems like hers has a bigger detriment with the 2 glass slippers. If they both get into play, then it's only the cane that I saw flipping through that can remove them, so you may have to go through your entire deck twice to remove those to do what you need to do. Notice flipping through, that may not be as bad as it sounds when you go to play. We'll have to see how that works out. The Horned King seems like he can, if he's not kept in check, seems like he can steamroll right through his objectives to victory. Same with Gaston. If you're not fading him and putting those tokens back onto his boards, it seems like he can walk pretty easily through. He only needs to remove 2 from each location, and there's even a couple in there that allow you to remove like 3 at a time, and or 2 from a single location, and so on. So he can dig those out real quick, so you got to make sure you're keeping the pressure on him and putting those back. So they look like 3 interesting new characters to add to the collection, and I can't wait to see how they fare against the other existing characters. Put up for our look at Disney's Villainous Despicable Plots. Hopefully it helps you decide if these characters are interesting enough for you to pick up for yourselves. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.